Welcome all to Off the Cuff with Namrita, and today I have another inspiring story. I'm here with Vijay, a UC Berkeley student pursuing a master's in management systems and information with focus in product management and AI. You always say there are thousands of students studying in Berkeley. What's inspiring about one more student pursuing AI? Let's ask Vijay Kumar Prakash, who's here with me in the studios in San Jose, about his journey from a remote village in Karnataka to the one of the best universities in the US. So, welcome Vijay to Off the Cuff and
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. It's my pleasure talking to you. Tell me about your childhood and coming from a remote village, as you wrote in your bio, to US. A little bit about that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born and raised in a village that had maybe 50 houses where uh, cattle rearing was the primary occupation and
Yeah.
farming.
Mhm.
And so, uh, yeah, very, very remote. And my parents did not do much of schooling. They did some
Right.
middle school, and that's about it.
Mhm.
So education was just not something that was emphasized at all in this community.
Mm.
And my parents moved to Bangalore city in search of a better life when I was 3 years old.
Mm.
And it's in the city that they learned about the school called Shanti Bhavan through just word of mouth, because back then the school didn't do any advertising. There was no website or
Right.
of any sort.
Mm.
But yes, my parents were, my dad just took up work, all sorts of odd jobs here and there.
Right.
My mom was working as a maid at multiple people's houses, and then she heard about the school and decided to enroll me there. And yeah, so I spent the first 14 formative years of my life, K to 12, at this school. It was a residential school.
Mhm.
And then I did, I was going back home summer and winter
Right.
during the breaks.
Mm.
And then I did 3 years of undergrad in Bangalore City, in Christ University, studying computer applications.
Okay.
I hustled in college and landed myself a competitive role at a company called, investment management firm called D.E. Shaw.
Wow.
They're based in New York over here.
Mhm.
They're, back then they just had an office in Hyderabad.
Mm.
They've since opened satellite offices.
Mhm.
But yes, and I started working from home remotely. Like, this was 2020 June,
Mm.
when the pandemic had just hit. And yeah, I worked there for 4 years, and then I just came to the US last year in August to pursue my master's.
Wow.
And so yeah, that's just a brief timeline of events since
Yeah.
birth to here.
Okay, wonderful. And you're making it seem very, very seamless and easy. I am sure it must be very difficult for you.
Mhm.
Especially you talking about the background you're coming from,
Yeah.
and you wrote that education wasn't, a necessity. It was a luxury for you.
Yes, it was.
And then leaving your parents' home, and you did say that your mother was a huge support, and she
Yeah.
pushed your going to, Shanti Bhavan,
Mhm.
and you were only 4.
Yes.
So how was it leaving your parents at that age?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that and about Shanti Bhavan
Yeah.
and their curriculum and how it shaped you as a person.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think my dad was not a fan of the idea of me
Okay.
being sent away to a boarding school.
Yeah.
My mom felt that,
Mm.
she saw this as the way to
Mm.
probably unlock social mobility for us,
Right.
and she just realized that I'd have a better future going through the system at SB.
Okay.
I'll refer to the school as SB from now on
SB,
because
yes.
it's easier. So yes, my dad particularly not happy with it. He just helped my mom go to the head office in Bangalore
Mm.
the first time when she wanted to enroll me in, and then since it was just her who always dropped me off at school, came to
Okay.
visit,
Ah.
pick me up. And yes, she was a huge support for me throughout
Right.
those early years of my life, because I mean she was the one that helped make ends meet at the family. She was also a primary breadwinner for us,
Oh, okay.
just taking up any work that she could in order to help.
Amazing.
earn a daily wage. And the system in SB definitely, I think their primary takeaways, I think there are three things I would say. One is education as a path to freedom.
Okay.
That can be financial freedom, socio-economic freedom, freedom to make autonomy of choice in terms of career paths and the values by which we choose to live our lives. Because when I'd say intellectual freedom, because SB really allows us to, gives us this platform, and we then are allowed to think about what traditions or age-old customs make sense, which are good to continue to follow, and which ones need to be changed, and then also like the kind of career paths we get down to. So yes, education is a path to freedom. Second one I'd say is leadership with responsibility.
Very
so SB, what it does is it provides a completely free education to students who belong to families from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, and just gives them everything: food, shelter, clothing, from preschool all the way to 12th grade. They say first day of school to first day of work. And what it does is it really allows them to uplift their families out of poverty, and then like affect a wider change throughout their societies. So that said, there is a moral obligation that we have to pay it forward when it comes time, and so that's something that Shanti Bhavan strongly emphasizes as well, like taking on leadership, but also having that the responsibility that comes with education along with it. And the third thing I had in mind was resilience in the face of adversity. So I think a lot of us have we are a diverse group of students. It takes in 12 boys and 12 girls every year.
Okay.
But we all, as different as our backgrounds can be, we all go through very difficult childhoods, but we still learn to persevere and beat all the odds, and like eventually unlock that social mobility which education helps to bring about. So yes, I think when I was very young, I didn't really pay too much attention to, I don't remember much other than my mom leaving me off at school and me being sad for the first few hours. But then when you grow up with people in a boarding school, they practically become your brothers and sisters, right? So we shared a special bond with each other. And so like a few hours in, I was just enjoying my time with my friends, hanging out with them. And we really grew up in these sort of two different worlds. One that was marked by scarcity and a lack of access to opportunities and resources, and another where we practically had everything handed to us. And I think as I grew up and went through maybe middle school, I'd say I started noticing and really understanding and truly appreciating what the school was giving me. And I must say, like, the stark contrast between living conditions at home and school, it just the dichotomy of these two worlds, it helped shape my perspective on privilege and made me understand like what are the things that we tend to take for granted that we might not have otherwise had if we didn't go through SB. So yes, it is a rigorous program, if you want to call it that, and there is a lot of it's a big change and lots of adjustment, but I think that in the end helps us build that kind of resilience and
I think very well explained and very well spoken about Shanti Bhavan, and it's a very holistic environment, and they also take care of the mental well-being of children, because like you're saying, it's a dichotomy between what's happening in the house and the privilege you're getting. So you are a few chosen ones who get to, I will say, get this opportunity. So did you have any siblings at home?
I have one younger sister.
Okay, so did she get to study, or?
So Shanti Bhavan's policy is one child per family,
that's why,
because
like,
they want to maximize outreach. But the good part of that, like the silver lining with that is seeing me and my peers, especially my female classmates, right,
Yeah.
who was also growing up with me in school. My parents understood somewhere that education was important, and so they kept my sister in school. I'm sure that
So
if I
lovely.
wasn't in Shanti Bhavan myself, they might have not seen a need to allow her to study beyond maybe 10th or 12th grade. But she finished her bachelor's in Bangalore as well, and then she took on a corporate job for a few years. She's about to get married this May, so she just left her job. But yes, there is a rule of one child per family, but and the other aspect is I was a student at school, but when I used to go back home for during the holidays, I was tutoring kids, the neighboring kids, and just teaching them and helping my sister improve her English and things like that. So there is already that in a small way where we kind of influence our siblings and families and
I guess you're already affecting the environment you're in, because as we know, and we've been in India for so long, we know anywhere in rural areas or marginalized people, girls get married very early, and they are thought of as a burden on the family, or they're just meant, okay, now you need to do home chores and look after your family. That's all they are meant to do, and it's very normal. So it's wonderful to see that how one person or even a few from Shanti Bhavan can impact change, I'll say, in mindsets and otherwise. As you said, like, you were taught in Shanti Bhavan to have a moral obligation and social responsibility of carrying 100 people along with you as you grow up and find jobs. And so, do you think you are young? You are, and you persevered. You did extremely well in at school. You were the valedictorian. I read that. And so, is it for you as a young man a burden by if you think, oh wow, I need to give, or I have to, because many of the kids don't have that social responsibility. They only think, okay, I'm going to get a job, a cushy job, or whatever job, or their parents are there to help them. So for you, it's not that. You tell me a little bit about your mindset about giving back. And
yes. So even today, a lot of the graduates, I think the biggest way in which we are giving back is through a portion of our salary that we donate back to the school itself for the future children of Shanti Bhavan. When the school was founded, it was primarily funded through the George Foundation, like Dr. George's savings and the money that he had made. And we've it's kind of evolved to a model today where it almost completely runs on donations. And alumni contribute in a way through sending a portion of their paycheck back to the school. So that is one small way. The charge of 100 others, the reason I call it a moral obligation is like we are not being held to it. Like there's nobody forcing us. It's obviously heavily emphasized, and that's why Dr. George keeps telling us that it's a moral obligation, not a nobody's being coerced into anything. But that said, I do believe that if all Shanti Bhavan does is takes children from these kind of backgrounds and then helps them unlock social mobility and come out of poverty and help their immediate families, and it stops over there, then that mission isn't really sustainable, right? So the thing helping 100 others, I perceive it as more of a nominal figure of speech for being just doing what we can to give back in the capacity that we can. And yes, we are pretty early in our careers. I think the oldest batch, if I'm 25, 26, the oldest batch is +8, so 33 now. So yes, I do often think about the ways in which that goal manifests itself in my life, but it is really too early to tell, and part of the reason why I'm here is to be able to do that. So I was sending a portion of my paycheck back to the school every month. Every time I got an increment at work, I also increased the amount that I was donating back. But I also realized that one way to maybe fast track myself to a position where I would be able to have larger impact was coming to this country. And so that was one of the primary reasons behind, or my goals behind pursuing a master's over here. And I also think one thing that we've done a very good job at, the alumni, is everyone who works in big corporate jobs, they have been able to foster partnerships between the CSR divisions of their companies and the school.
Okay.
So, when it's kind of like a win-win, the companies, they have these responsibilities, they get maybe some tax benefits as well.
Absolutely.
The
Now
school
it's
makes some money, so
Yes.
through corporate donations, and then SB is building up its second campus
second
in
campus, I heard.
Karnataka right now,
Karnataka.
and so many companies are sponsoring entire buildings or specific projects and things like that. So even in that way, we are, furthering our impact of giving back. Apart from that, we also do give back in time. Lots of alumni go back to tutor students on weekends,
Right.
the high school students on campus, and we also sometimes go to some of the schools in Bangalore, like government schools, which in India, as sad as the situation is, sometimes government schools tend to be underfunded, and the staff, not the staff aren't necessarily super qualified. So.
Yeah, good. And like you said, India remains a highly unequal country, I have to say, be it wealth, gender, or social inequality. There is a lot of inequality, and I think around 10% or 8% of people own most of the wealth in India. I
read I think it was a Deccan Herald article that said that India's richest 1% owns 40% of
most of it. Yes. So, have you, personally, faced any discrimination or, any story that impacted you while growing, and you'd like to share? Quick one.
Yes.
Okay.
I think me personally, no, because in a way, growing up in SB, I was kind of like in this bubble and I was shielded from a lot of the going-ons.
Yeah.
But I saw it secondhand. I saw it firsthand through my parents experiencing it. Like, because of our caste, my mother would not be employed. She was denied work as a maid, even in someone's houses, because they didn't want this intermingling of castes or anything like that, right? I've had some of my extremist relatives caution me against playing with Muslim children on the streets when I was younger. I've seen these systemic injustices at play, but not necessarily experienced them firsthand, primarily because I was in this safety net within SB.
Okay. And you're saying education can bring a lot of different perspective, a wider perspective. Do you think education has changed that traditional mindsets that your parents had to go through and fight through it? How are you going to navigate your life? And especially, I like I told you, I saw that Daughters of Destiny, and in which some of the boys in Shanti Bhavan were questioned about a girl, about gender inequality, and they asked you, if you were a girl, what challenges would you face? So, and same question again. Now that you're here, you've gone through so much, you've persevered. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I still stand by what I said then.
And that was?
I don't remember exactly. This was a while ago.
Okay,
but
I
remember saying I might not have had a voice of my own, or I might have been stifled by, certain others' opinions or beliefs, and maybe I would have been told what to do and would have had to do it. It's been, in hindsight, when I look back, I'm happy for my sister that she finished her undergraduate degree. She went through, she was able to stand on her own 2 feet and earn money for the family as well. The person she's marrying, it's a love marriage, and that's the first in my entire family tree that I know. Everything was arranged marriage before this, so I've already seen just through me how it has impacted her. And
wow.
so
Yeah. And I know you have a long way to go though, but what would you look for a partner when, you
That's
come to that stage?
It's a difficult question.
Okay.
uh, what would I look for?
This is an auntie question actually, but no, because, just your perspective about,
Yeah.
the opposite.
I
Sex.
think above all, I would look for someone who's kind, and that's just. It might sound cheesy to say that, but obviously someone who is smart. That's why I'm in Berkeley.
Absolutely.
No, I'm kidding. But yes, someone who's just kind and
Yeah.
also driven and can, is strong and independent.
Thank
as
you
well.
for answering,
Yeah.
and that says it all. Yeah. So now, I'm watching the time. Now that you're here, how are you being supported, and what have you seen so far? Any good things and bad things about being here in Cali?
Okay, when it comes to support, I'm very fortunate. So I tell a lot of people, I complain every time I have terrible luck with raffles and things like that, but I
Oh.
always remind myself that I won the biggest lottery when I was 3.5 years old by getting enrolled in the school where they have maybe at that time 200 applicants and just
Oh.
12 boys and 12 girls.
Okay.
Like I was lucky enough to be selected then. But yes, right now in the US, being in, I had admissions from a few colleges, and one of the reasons I picked Berkeley was just the support system that I had around it.
Okay.
Primarily, Natasha's and Nikita's parents, Auntie Namrita and Uncle Ram, they've been a huge asset to me. They live in Fremont, so I spend a lot of my weekends over here and going back and forth. Uncle Ram helped me move into my first apartment over here, and that's always something I remember. And SB has plenty of former volunteers who are spread out around the Bay Area,
Okay.
all the way from Walnut Creek to SF, down including San Jose. And yes, and plenty of some of the SB students that came here for their undergraduate degrees.
Right.
They've made friends and connections that I've been able to tap into and lean on as I've navigated my first few months over here. So that has been really nice. Good versus bad, I'll say there was definitely some culture shock when I came to this place, especially from. I remember I drove around on my cycle with my roommate my first week over here. Every time I turned a corner, I instinctively rode to the left side of the road, and he was like, "No, don't do that in this country." And then, people generally being very nice. It's in the bustling streets of India, like people don't have time to be polite to each other. You just go about your business.
Yes.
But here, greeting strangers or like your thanking a bus driver, things like that. Don't get me started with the dates. Like I had to fill 2 new forms at the bank my first time because we were month date.
Yeah.
And reversed over here.
Oh yes.
And then the imperial system versus metric, it's taking some getting used to. But all that aside, and then of course moving into an apartment. I think this was the first time I came to a place where I had no core SB ties in my immediate surrounding, because 14 years in school, 3 years at college where some of my classmates were SB students, and then 4 years in Bangalore and Hyderabad. I still had that SB community to lean into, but here they were a little more distant and spread out. So it's been a rough transition, but I'd like to think I've held up well.
Absolutely, you've always gone through so much and come up stronger. And in the end, all I'll say is, when you look ahead, what do you see in your future?
If I knew the answer to that, I'd be D sure making a lot of money.
Okay, good.
So what I hope to see for myself is, a comfortable life with a job, that I both enjoy and pays well. I do not yet know if I want to remain in this country or go back home to India. It's still a little too early to make that call. But I do definitely see myself, in a position where I would be doing more than what I was able to do for others back home. And that's about it.
Thank you so much, Vijay, for coming on my show Off the Cuff. And like your name says, Vijay. Vijay means victory.
Yes,
So I wish you victory in whatever you do. And it was so wonderful talking to you about your
Thank you so
journey.
much. It was my pleasure.
And listeners, please go to the website shantibhavanchildren.org and see the work they're doing. You can donate there also. Bhavan provides each child with complete educational, residential, and medical care from the age of 4 to 21 for a total of 18 years. Two ways to help is, I think it just takes $5 a day to transform a life. And for 179 per month or 2,148 per year, you can sponsor a child at Shanti Bhavan. So I feel this, the organization is giving so much to these young children. They are giving them dignity. They are giving their entire family hope. So thank you all for joining. Take care and be well. Bye for now. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you so much.